Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome to our webinar, Introduction to the United Nations Global Compact. Thank you for joining us this morning. This webinar has been designed for businesses who are interested in getting a little more information on what exactly the Global Compact is and what exactly participation in this initiative means for businesses around the world. My name is Ana Blanco. I'm a member of the Communication on Progress team at the Global Compact office in New York. With me is my colleague Naoko Kimura. You will be hearing her a little later today in the webinar as well. A few things for this webinar. All of you, the attendees, are in mute, so I cannot hear you if you try to speak to me. However, any question you might have is very welcome at any time during the webinar. I just ask you to please type it down in the little box that you see in your screen where it says questions. Just type your questions in there and we will be addressing the questions as they come in. This webinar will last about 45 minutes to an hour depending on the questions that you might have. At the end of the webinar, you will be receiving the slides that we will see today as well as the recording of the session. So you can feel free to distribute the slides and the recording among colleagues or other people who might also be interested in your company about the Global Compact. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. Remember your questions in the question box. We'll be very happy to address questions as they come in. The Global Compact, this is the General Assembly room at the United Nations. That's the place where the Global Compact was born. This is the program for today. We're going to cover 4 main topics. It is a lot for 45 minutes, but we will get through the whole thing. First, I'm going to tell you some general aspects about the Global Compact. Then, what does it mean to join the Global Compact? How does a company join? And what happens once the company joins? What are the issue areas covered by the Global Compact and what resources there are in each one of the issue areas? And some conclusions at the end. So let's begin with generalities about the Global Compact. The initiative was launched in the year 2000 in New York by the United Nations General Assembly. The idea of creating a global compact where businesses would come together trying to deal with sustainability issues started coming up in the 90s. This was an idea that came up among some United Nations officers, which, by the way, are still working for the Global Compact. And they started realizing that while traditionally governments have been the ones with a lot of power and with a lot of leeway to deal with issues that affect us all, companies are increasingly having the same power and in some cases even more power than governments. So the initiative in the United Nations was to get these companies and like-minded companies together in order for them to work towards a more sustainable world, a more sustainable economy. It's a multi-stakeholder platform, the Global Compact, and the idea is collective action. The idea before collective action is that one company alone can make some progress, of course, but if a lot of companies come together and join their efforts, then the results will be stronger. And the whole idea behind the Global Compact is rooted in universally accepted conventions. It means those are conventions that have been approved, ratified by the United Nations General Assembly. The whole vision of the Global Compact is to create a more sustainable and inclusive global economy. The Global Compact is based in 10 principles. the backbone, the skeleton of the initiative are the 10 principles. As I mentioned before, these principles didn't just come out of the hat. They are based in conventions that have been approved, ratified by the General Assembly of the United Nations. You have the 10 principles here. I'm not going to read each one of the principles, but I encourage you to do it when you receive the presentation. The important thing in this slide is that the principles have been grouped in 4 main issue areas. Human rights is for principle 1 and 2, labor for principles 3 through 6, environment, and lastly, anti-corruption. This classification of the principles is very important for reporting purposes. So we're going to talk about the reporting requirement that the Global Compact has, and there is where these 4 issue areas come handy. So please keep in mind the backbone of the Global Compact is the 10 principles. They have been divided in 4 main issue areas. There are 2 objectives of the Global Compact. One is to get companies to internalize these 10 principles into their strategies, their policies, their operations. So that's the first component in which we work every day, trying to help companies to internalize the principles. And the second component of the Global Compact is to make sure that companies, through the observance of the 10 principles, they are actually contributing to development and to actually protecting our environment, our people. So that's the second component. One component is internal, incorporate the principle, external, make sure that the results are being materialized in contribution to development. The Global Compact, we operate around the world through what we call our local networks. So we are based in New York. We have an office here at the United Nations. Not in the Secretariat. We are right across the street from the Secretariat. We have a nice office across the street. So here's where the Global Compact office has centralized its operations. However, if we really want to have global reach, we need to have hands, ears, eyes at the local level. That is how we reach out to people around the world. It can be, sometimes it's other United Nations agencies, sometimes it's companies themselves who are interested in supporting a local network. It varies depending on each country. There are different groups that come together and they create local networks. What you see in red in this map are formal local networks. It means they have a stable governance structure, and they have signed a memorandum of understanding with the Global Compact office in New York. Then we have another category of local networks. They are established, the blue ones you see in blue. They have an established governance structure, but they have not yet signed the memorandum of understanding. And lastly, we have an emerging network. It's what you see in green, yellow. Are places where there is some kind of activity, some groups and individuals are working on implementing the Global Compact principles. However, there's not an established governance structure yet. We have over 100 local networks around the world, and the local networks are a great resource for businesses interested in participating in the Compact and in implementing the principles. So I strongly encourage you to take a look at our website and see if there is a local network in your own country, in the place where your operations are, because the chances are very high that we do have a local network in your country, and the local network can be a great resource for your company. So this is the Global Compact in numbers. I wanted to give you some view of how our participants are divided. We accept participants from the business community. We are an organization, an initiative that is focused on businesses. Over time, some organizations from the non-business community have said that they are interested in supporting our work. So we do accept some participants from the non-business community. If you can see, as the slide indicates, we have over 7,000 business participants distributed in 130 countries around the world, and we also have 3,500 non-business participants. Again, here these numbers show how our focus is really in the business community. Now, in terms of the business participants that we have in the initiative, we accept businesses, of course, from all over the world. It doesn't matter the industry, the sector, and it doesn't matter the size of the company. We accept every company that is willing to participate. The distribution right now is like this. In Europe is where we have the larger number of participants. Then it comes Latin America and Asia. We have separated here Northern America. Before we had together Latin America and Northern America, and they formed a bigger group here for the Americas. But as these groups grow, we separated them. So we have Asia, Northern America, MENA, and Africa. Now, these percentages that you see on the screen, it's representing the percentage of SMEs, small and medium enterprises, as opposed to large companies. So if you see, across the board, we have about between 50, 60 here is the largest in MENA, 68% of SMEs. So a large percentage of over half of our business participants are SMEs. This doesn't, of course, doesn't reflect the actual universe of companies in the world. As you might be aware, in the world, the number of SMEs is a lot larger than the number of companies. So this does not reflect the universe, but in our initiative, that's how participants are distributed. The Global Compact is not a regulatory authority. We don't have the tools to punish someone, a company, who is not following our principles, just as the United Nations doesn't have the tools either. The United Nations is not a regulatory authority, except for some activities in the Security Council. The United Nations does not have the power to go and punish a government who is not following its rules. The same way, the Global Compact is not a substitute for regulation at the national or international level. So first comes the law in the country where your company operates, and then comes the voluntary agreement that you have with the Global Compact. Now, we do try to set high standards in some cases where the law of the company, the law of the country where the company operates sets very low standards. We try to set those standards higher, and we encourage the companies to follow the initiative standards. The Global Compact is not a United Nations seal of approval or a label. In fact, we have a very strict control of the use of our logo, so it doesn't become a kind of a seal of approval, or is not used by companies in such a way. And lastly, the Global Compact is not a public relations exercise. It is an actual commitment, and we do expect to see results. Now, why do companies engage with the Global Compact? Why do they even make the effort to become participants in this initiative? Well, we ask our participants every 2 years why they joined the Global Compact. Our latest survey, we asked them last year. The results will be coming out this year. So this is fresh. We haven't published these numbers yet, but this is what our company said. We had over 1,700 responses in this survey, and the companies are convinced that by joining the Global Compact, which entails a public commitment with sustainability issues. They think that by doing that voluntary commitment, they will increase the trust in the company. And by this, they were meaning increasing the trust internally among their employees, their managerial staff, including their C-level executives, and externally. The trust in the company would also be enhanced externally, referring to consumers, investors, communities where the company operates, etc. So 80% of the companies mentioned increase trust in the company as a reason for joining the global company. And then there are three other reasons that came very closely together. One is to acquire knowledge to advance sustainability. Indeed, the Global Compact provides the knowledge and provides the tools for learning and for helping companies to advance sustainability topics. We will see which are those resources in a minute. Companies also thought the universal nature of the principles was a reason for them to join the initiative. It's not principles that came out, as I said, by magic out of a hat. They are principles rooted in international conventions. And lastly, for these three reasons, companies believe that their participation in the Global Compact promotes action on sustainability within the company. And then there are a bunch of other reasons. So, but this is a good example for you to see why companies join and what they see the results are once they join the Global Compact. Now, joining the Global Compact. How is it done? I see in the list of attendees to our webinar today, there are a bunch of companies who are already participants. There are a couple that are not participants. So this is what happens and how a company joins. As our attendees today who are already participants in the Global Compact know, the commitment and the will to become a participant in the Global Compact must come from the highest executive level of the company. It is a commitment. We believe that if the commitment is not made at the highest level, at the highest managerial level of the company, then the commitment will not have the traction in the company to create the effects that we are looking for. That is why we require that companies commit at the CEO and the board level. For that, a company must submit an online application where the CEO or the highest executive sends a letter to the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, request explaining the reasons, saying they want to voluntarily commit to the compact, and requesting to be accepted. When our office here in New York receives those applications, we conduct a basic due diligence process. We just make sure the company actually exists, that there are no legal criminal issues with that organization, and then we accept organizations. When the company is accepted, they immediately acquire a few commitments, and that is what joining the Global Compact is all about. One of the commitments is to, as we saw before, is to implement the 10 principles internally, and in that way contributing to development. The other commitment is of reporting. We have an annual requirement where companies that join the Global Compact must report every year what their efforts and their progress has been over the last year. We will talk a little bit more about this reporting requirement in a moment. Those three commitments that you see on the screen bolded, the commitment at the CEO, the online application, and the reporting requirement, these bolded things, are mandatory. If a company does not do these three things, they just cannot participate in the compact. Now, the second part of this slide, which is showing the second part of the commitment upon joining the Global Compact, are things that our company is encouraged to do, but they don't have to do it right away in order to participate. So they have to show some willingness to engage in continuous performance improvement, in learning and dialogue on critical sustainability issues. The company must set strategic and operational goals, and we encourage the companies to participate in events at the local and global levels, events that contribute to sustainability and development. Now, as we saw before, these are there are some requirements. The requirement of reporting is one of the main aspects of participation in the Global Compact, but we don't expect companies to just go ahead and be able to implement the 10 principles out of the blue. We understand that there are companies that are at the very beginning of their sustainability journey. There are other companies that are more advanced. There are companies that are advanced in some topics but not in others. And the Global Compact is very interested in helping companies to incorporate the principles. And we offer a lot of resources for companies to be able to do so. One of these resources is what we call the management model. What you see on the screen is a publication that we title the management model. When you receive these slides, you will be able to click on the diagram and it will take you directly to the publication of the management model. And what this publication does is guiding companies through the whole process of committing and incorporating and measuring and finally reporting on sustainability issues. It's a 6-step process, starting with the commitment, then assessing the risks and opportunities. It continues on to define what are the goals and strategies and policies of the company. Then it moves on and explains how to implement, which is the most important part of the whole thing, how to actually implement those strategies and policies and making sure that the company is actually walking the walk on sustainability. After implementation, the management model describes how to measure and monitor the results and the impacts that they are having with their strategy. And lastly, the management model goes into the communication part, which is our Global Compact requirement on reporting on progress. So this is the whole management model in a nutshell. The publication is organized this way. It starts, if you see here in the right-hand side of the screen, it starts by defining what it means. It starts with the commitment, but then it does it with every single step. So it defines, it's a definition of what commitment is. Then it explains how to take action. Then it explains how to get started. If you're a company that has zero experience in this aspect, then what is the first step that you should take? And then it gives some examples of leadership practices. And then we have our reporting requirement. So after the company has gone through the management model, then there's the reporting requirement. Our initiative, while it does have a reporting requirement, we differentiate ourselves from other reporting entities out there, such as the GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative, or the IIRC, or the CDP, the Carbon Disclosure Project. All of those are sustainability reporting initiatives. We work very closely with them. We align our requirements with their guidelines, etc. However, the Global Compact is not an initiative exclusively for reporting. As you saw before, our main interest is to help companies to implement, to do things, to be able to actually incorporate and materialize the principles and all these sustainability issues that that are so pressing today. And a little component of our framework is the reporting. It's a very important component, but it is not the main component. In the other initiatives, such, for example, the GRI, with which we work very closely together again, but for them, the main thing is reporting, and that's it. For us, is not. Now, having said that, our reporting requirement does have some rules, and if companies do not follow these rules, they might eventually lose their participation in the compact. We require three main things in the reports. Our reports are called Communication on Progress, or COP, and we have a COP policy. When you receive this document, you will be able to click here. It will take you directly to the policy. The first requirement is a statement of continued support by the CEO. Every year, companies have to do these. Then it must contain a description of actions in each one of the issue areas. And again, here's where I was telling you the 4 issue areas are the important things. They group the 10 principles: human rights, labor, environment, and anti-corruption. And lastly, the last requirement is a measurement of outcomes. Now, if you are interested in learning more about our reporting requirement, I strongly encourage you to attend tomorrow's webinar. It's at the same time as today, but we are going to focus exclusively on our reporting requirement. So if this is of interest to you, please register and participate in tomorrow's webinar. And here you have a basic guide on the reporting requirement as well. We have levels. This is our differentiation program, and it's for companies who report. Once they submit their report, they are placed in one of the categories. We have GC Active, which is the category where companies submit a COP that meets the minimum requirements, the 3 requirements that we just saw in the previous slide. We have our GC Advanced level, which is for companies who submit a COP that meets the minimum requirements we just saw in the previous slide, plus advanced criteria. The advanced criteria are a list of 21 criteria. We will talk about these criteria in tomorrow's webinar as well. And lastly, we have the GC Learner, or the Learner Platform, which is where companies that submit a COP on a timely manner are placed if their COP is incomplete. So let's suppose they met 2 out of the 3 minimum requirements, but they are missing 1. So they are placed in the Learner Platform, and they are given a period of time to complete their COP. Again, more details on all these tomorrow in our webinar in the morning. Now, the issue areas. I keep mentioning how important the 4 issue areas are. The principles have been grouped in issue areas. I keep mentioning throughout the webinar the sustainability topics that are so pressing today. So we are going, in this next section, we are going to see what are those issue areas and the sustainability topics that I've been referring to. Before moving on here, I want to pass over to my colleague Naoko, who has been collecting your questions. I want to see, to hear from Naoko if we have any question at this point.
Hi, Anna. We have no questions at the moment.
We have no questions okay, thank you, Naoko. I'd like to remind all participants, if you have any question at any moment, please do not hesitate to type it down in the little box that says questions in your screen. We'll be happy to address those questions, and questions are very helpful when you start posing them, and they will help everyone in the webinar. So for issue areas, we are going to see who informs the issue area, the publications that we offer, the resources, and how to participate. So as you saw, the first issue area is human rights. I'm not going to take a lot of time into these because we have, the Global Compact offers a lot of resources, many resources. It would take a 2-day webinar to walk you through each one of the resources. But I want to give you a comprehensive enough overview so you can later go into the issue area that is of most interest to you and look into that one. For each issue area, we have a working group. So who informs the issue area? It's not some crazy people who don't know anything about the topic. It's a very structured organization where we have a working group of experts. Then for each issue area, we have publications, many. Some of them are more philosophical. What is the philosophy behind the issue area? Some others are topic specific. For example, here we have 2 topic specific. This one deals with women's empowerment, and then we have a second one in children's rights. So these are examples of specialized publications. We have others that are guidances on how to report, how to communicate the company's behavior in that specific issue area. So for human rights, here are the publications. When you receive, you can click on each one of these and it will take you to the actual publication. And lastly, for each one of the issue areas, we have how to engage. And this is for companies who sometimes they tell us, okay, I reported already on this issue. I implement my policies, I measure my results, I communicate and report every year on the issue, but my company is very interested in this topic, and we want to get more engaged. So how do we do that? And the Global Compact offers a very large number of ways in which companies can further engage in the topic. For example, in human rights, we have a business dilemmas forum, and it's a very active forum where companies sign up. They say, I'm from so-and-so company operating in this environment and I have this dilemma. And they type in their dilemma. Many times are very interesting dilemmas, and the community, other companies participating in the dilemmas forum contribute by commenting and saying, I have a similar experience, this is how I have dealt with this topic, so on and so forth. So that is a very important tool that we offer in this specific topic of human rights. We have the issue area of labor standards. Same thing, we have a working group on labor standards. It's a group of experts. We have our publication, the Labor Principles of the United Global Compact. It's a guide for businesses on how to better incorporate and implement the labor principles. And how to engage, we have the results, the resource by the ILO. We work together with ILO, another UN entity, and they offer a help desk for business on international labor standards. So if a company or an employee or any stakeholder really has a question, they can call to the help desk, and then they can receive support from the ILO. Before moving on, Naoko, do we have any questions on these two issue areas so far?
Yes, we have one question, which is the dilemma forum open to NGOs?
Okay, good question. So this is referring to the human rights, what we were talking about, the Dilemmas Forum. Yes, it is open to NGOs actually. So far, the main group of participants is the business community, but NGOs are welcome to participate as well. There are a few conditions for any participant to come into the Dilemmas Forum. They have to clearly identify themselves. So it has to be name, last name, occupation, and the organization they belong to. And there is a good process here for vetting. We don't want just anyone coming in criticizing, and when there's open online debates, how sometimes it might lead to inappropriate comments and aggressive. We are pretty much on top of that, and we want to control as much as possible to keep the forum as an enriching source of exchange. So we vet everyone who comes in. They have to be identified when they make a comment. The comment does not go live unless the name and the full identification of the person is included and is reviewed by the office. So that's how it works. And again, mainly it has been offered and promoted for companies. Okay, so human rights, labor standards, then we go into environment. In Who Informs the Environment, we have a group which is called the CEO Water Mandate. Again, a group of experts in the topic of natural resources, renewable natural resources. We have another group, Caring for Climate. They are experts, of course, in climate. And we have UNEP, another United Nations agency, which is the Environmental Protection Agency. The main publication here is the Environmental Stewardship Strategy. Again, I'm highlighting here one out of the many publications we have in each issue area. When you go into our website and you click in the specific issue area, environment, you will find dozens of resources. But the idea with this presentation is highlighting to you which are the most important ones and which you should be starting on. Otherwise, it's easy to get lost in the amount of publications that we offer. How to engage? We have a group on low carbon. So it's a group of companies that set goals, they discuss, they put out publications, they keep very active discussing the topic of carbon emissions. And we have the Water Action Hub. If you go, it's a very cool website. You can click here. It's called wateractionhub.org. And it's efforts by companies around the world. And they identify other companies that are interested in the same issues. So they get together and they put their efforts together and they try to tackle the issues by collective action. Then we have our issue area on anti-corruption. We have Who Informs is the working group of anti-corruption, again a group of experts here. The publications I highlighted, we are highlighting two here. The 10th Principle Against Corruption is it's a reporting guidance on how companies can disclose their efforts in this topic. And then we have another publication that guides companies on how to fight corruption in the supply chain. How to engage? We have different programs. One is the Collective Action Program. This Collective Action Program is currently being implemented in 7 countries. The plan is to expand it and try to make it globally. We are trying it out in 7 countries where companies come together and take different actions in the topic of corruption. And then we have an online resource, the Fight Against Corruption. This is a kind of a self-assessment and a tutorial that helps companies to identify where exactly they stand in the topic of corruption, and it teaches them different topics and tools in corruption. Before moving on now, do we have any questions?
Yes, we have another additional question. It's, are other companies able to see my, I'm sorry, this is with regard to the Human Rights Dilemmas Forum. The question is, are other companies able to see my full name as well as my company name?
In the Human Rights Dilemma Forum, okay. Yeah. There are different ways of participating in the forum, and when a company joins in the forum, they can choose how they will be displayed. So the participant, in many cases, what we have found is that they do want to be open and they post their questions openly. In other cases, they prefer that their names remain anonymous, but they do have to provide their names in order to be able to participate. So we, our office, will be seeing the name, and if the company chooses, the name will not be published. But again, that has not been the rule in the Dilemmas Forum. It has been open, saying we are so-and-so company operating in India, and this is the problem we are having in this region. And then other companies as well, when they respond, they typically, although they have the option of not disclosing who they are to the public, they say, look, I'm so-and-so company, I also operate in India, and this is how we have dealt with this topic. Okay, so those are the four main issue areas: human rights, labor, environment, anti-corruption. We do have programs in other issue areas that are very important to our initiative. One of them is business and peace. So it's specifically for companies operating in conflict areas or high-risk areas for armed conflict. We have an expert group on business and investment in high-risk areas. We have guidance on responsible business in conflict-affected areas. And there are many different ways of participating. Specifically, we have meetings and workshops that this group is very active on. We also have the topic of supply chain. It's a very important aspect nowadays in a global economy where companies operate in one specific geography, but as it turns out, they have thousands of distributors and suppliers and all kinds of people upstream and downstream. So this group works on how to measure and control sustainability issues along the supply chain. Lastly, we have another program that is, we call it contributing to broader UN objectives through partnerships. And this responds to the belief in the Global Compact that it is collective action that will eventually take us to a more sustainable world. One company, one individual fighting on their own and struggling to protect the environment is not going to do it. We need a group of companies, we need collective action to attain the results that we are looking for. So we have created this UN Business Partnership Portal where the United Nations acts either as a partner for companies or as a facilitator for companies to establish partnerships among themselves. So, for example, if there's a company making great efforts in waste management in a specific area of the world, they can come to the partnership portal and see if maybe their there is a UN agency or another business also making efforts in that same topic, waste management for this example, in that same area. So those entities or business and UN or business can join their forces and work together on the issue. That is what this partnership portal is all about. Again, you can click here when you receive the document and be able to see more details about it. Okay, now do we have any other questions at this point?
No further questions.
Alrighty. So let's move on to some conclusions. And remember, now we are approaching the last part of our webinar. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to type them down. So there are three main things that I wanted to highlight for concluding this webinar. The first one is, what is the commitment to the Global Compact? And the participation in the Global Compact involves a commitment to both incorporate and advance sustainability topics into the company's operations and strategies. So that's the first part, implement, incorporate the topics. And the second part of that commitment is to disclose progress, to communicate, to report. And in fact, we have made that second part of the commitment a requirement for participation. Companies have to report every year on their efforts. But our initiative not only demands these things from companies. We offer tools to implement and report on a variety of topics. So as you saw, we offer the management model for companies to be able to implement. We offer webinars such as this one and tomorrow's to explain what the reporting requirement is all about. And we offer all the tools that we just went through for companies to do it. So it's a commitment, but at the same time, our initiative offers the tools for your companies to be able to observe the commitment. Now, in the implementation part of it, as I was saying, the management model is the best place to start to implement the sustainability topics. The management model is applicable to any company in any location of any size. As you will see once you go through the document, it gives examples. If you are a large company, this could be more appropriate to you. If you are a smaller company, this could be more appropriate to you. So that's the implementation. And then lastly, the reporting part is the second part of the commitment that I was talking about earlier. It's a framework that we offer for companies to transparently disclose your information to your stakeholders and take steps toward the broader goal of sustainable development. And then very lastly, the last question we always like to pose to companies is, what are the benefits of public commitment and accountability on sustainability topics to your company? So if you are already a participant in the Global Compact, or if you are not yet, but you are considering becoming a participant, evaluate what are the benefits of the public commitment, or the drawbacks, not only the benefits. What are the drawbacks of a public commitment in this sense? As we saw before, 80% of companies say a public commitment of this type increases trust in the company. And for them, that is a very valuable thing. Therefore, they take the step and become participants. Okay, at this point, are any other questions, Naoko?
Anna, we have one more, and the question is, can companies who just recently joined the Global Compact and who are submitting their first COP this year, will they be able to take part in the Global Compact Leaders Summit?
So companies that just, let me see if I understood your question. Companies that just joined the Global Compact and so the question is, companies that just joined the Global Compact, they have not reported yet, they have not submitted their first COP, but they want to know if those companies will be able to participate in the summit. Is that the question?
Sure. Yes.
Okay, perfect. The short answer is yes, of course. These companies, we will be invited to the Leaders Summit. We are extending invitations to all of our participants. For maybe if there's someone on the line who is not aware of the Global Compact Leaders Summit, the summit is a large meeting that we organize every 3 years. And the idea of the summit is to get the highest executive levels of our participants, our business participants, to discuss on different sustainability topics, the most pressing topics at the moment, and try to come with a program and agenda for the next 3 years for all of us to focus on. So our Leaders Summit is coming up this September, and we will be inviting all of our companies that are current participants. It doesn't really matter if the COP is not in yet. However, we do strongly encourage companies to report by the moment of the summit. Why? Because the summit gets a lot of attention by stakeholders, by the media, by investors. We make a lot of noise about the summit, and stakeholders are paying attention to what's going on. So in previous years, we have had the experience that all these stakeholders are very interested and looking into what's going on, and then they find that this company that they are trying to follow has not submitted their report. So it's much better in our experience. What we have seen in previous years is that companies actually submit their COP in preparation for all the attention that will be drawn to the Global Compact as a result of the summit.
Anna, could you quickly tell us when the invitations will be sent out?
Sure. Invitations are being sent out in different batches, so it depends on the size of the company, the location of the company, and it's starting next week throughout the following 2 or 3 weeks. So depending on where your company is located, the sector, etc., you will be receiving an invitation either in a week or 3 weeks from now. And the invitations will go to the CEO. So that's something to keep in mind. It goes to the highest executive levels of the company. Any more questions, Naoko?
One final question. The question is, what is the added value, or what is the role of non-business participants in the Global Compact?
Okay. That's a good question. And here is an opportunity and a reminder that this specific webinar is designed for businesses. So all that I've shown and all that we have presented so far is business participants, because our initiative is one that is focused on businesses. What we care the most about is businesses. Now, the reason why we accept non-business participants in our initiative is because there was an interest on their part to support our role. That's how it all started. Initially, we were about businesses only, and a few NGOs, academics, etc., started expressing their interest in supporting our initiative. So we started accepting non-business participants. Now, when companies report to us, as you saw, we have over 7,000 companies. We are a team here of 60 people in New York. We do not have the capacity of reading 7,000 reports. the way we engage with non-business participants is they are the ones, as stakeholders of companies, they are the ones who do the vetting of the reporting. So if they find something that is being reported by a company, and they happen to know because they operate in the same region, etc., that disclosure in the report is not accurate, then they help us vetting that, and they raise the concern, they raise it with the company, sometimes they bring it to us. So that's the way, that's the role they have. Yeah, basically that's the reason why we have non-business participants in our initiative.
Anna?
Yes.
For one more?
Sure. We have 4 minutes.
Okay. The question is, what is the Global Compact's relationship with governments regarding the policy dialogues that come up in these countries?
Okay. Okay, I see 2 parts in this question. One is the relationship with governments in general. We, as you know, as I explained earlier today, the Global Compact was born as an initiative of the United Nations, and as you know, United Nations is governments. It's an organization by governments for governments. So we were born basically out of governments' ideas. When the project of the Global Compact was taken to the General Assembly, it was accepted by the majority of governments. So we have strong support from governments. Our relationship with different governments varies. Some companies are donors, some companies just contribute with different knowledge, information, etc. So it varies depending on each specific government. But as I said, we come out of governments. So we have a strong relationship with government, especially through the United Nations. Now, I see the second part of the question. You mentioned policy dialogues that come up in the countries. I'm not sure what the participant is referring to, policy dialogues. If quickly the participant can clarify policy dialogues. I'm imagining the reporting requirements for companies. Let's give a few seconds to see if the participant can clarify that part of the in principle, though, with policy dialogues, I'm talking from the reporting perspective, because recently there have been many initiatives, well, not many, but let's say that initiatives are coming up from the government perspective on making the reporting requirement, the reporting aspect of sustainability a mandatory requirement. So by law, there are some countries already where this is the case. By law, a company has to report on sustainability issues. Now, in those dialogues, we stay away from them. Why? Because one of the main principles of our initiative is that we are a voluntary initiative, and the voluntary aspect of the Global Compact is a very important one. It's one that has guided us through the last 13 years, and that's how we reach out to companies. You sign up to our initiative on a voluntary basis, and we have worked with academics conducting studies on what are the effects of a voluntary commitment as opposed to a mandatory action. And the findings are that when the commitment is made on a voluntary basis, the effects tend to be stronger. So that's what we want, and that's why we try to stay away from government initiatives that try to make it a mandate to report. So, okay, we have reached the time. I do encourage people to contact us, contact your local networks. If you see in the screen, my name is Ana Blanco. You can also contact Sarah Boswick. When I send the slides, I'm going to send you also Naoko's contact information. You can feel free to contact us with further questions. I thank all of you for participating in our webinar today, and looking forward to having you in tomorrow's webinar if you are interested in getting a good overview and all of the details about the reporting requirement in the Global Compact. Thank you very much and have a great day.